Greetings. Welcome back to this particular session. We started off yesterday. Question: there are many who are entering marriages without any intention of becoming wives or husbands, and as a result we have many challenges in marriage. So today we are doing part 2, which is to take over from to look at the husband side. What does it mean to be a husband? And what are the roles and the responsibility of a husband? It is very interesting that there are many who are there. In premarital counseling, I will ask young men and say to them, what does it mean to be a leader? What is it that you are going to be doing in marriage that your partner will not be doing? And many just do not know. They just do not know. For many, it seems like marriage is a continuation of an arrangement of dating. As we said about a wife, a man can be many things to many people. He is a son to his parents. He is a father to his children. And in this case, he is a husband to his wife. So the focus of being a husband is towards the wife. He is not a husband to the nation. He is not a husband to the church or any other institution. He is not a husband to many other women who are out there. He is a husband to one woman that he is married to. It is this woman who will then experience him as a husband on whether he is doing well or not on his role as a husband. So let's look into this role of being a husband from the biblical point of view. What does the Bible say about this particular role of being a husband? We go quickly to Ephesians 5:23, and we know the text. It says, the man is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. Now, that's interesting because in this age of democracy, many of us will think there is no need for leadership, but I like to believe that any institution succeeds or fails based on the leadership that it have. When there was no leader in Israel in the Old Testament, we remember the time of the judges. The Bible says everyone did what was right in his own eyes because there was no leader. And the same should not be said about our homes, about our families. The truth of the matter is that the man must fulfill his role. And I would like to declare that probably the most important role is that of a leader. If you look into an organization that are succeeding, you realize whether it's corporate or it's governmental, all of them have good leadership. So when the organization is going bankrupt, they don't blame it on cleaners, on janitors, or junior staff. It is at the hands of the CEO, the managing director, who has to be reliable, and you need to be accountable for that. And we saw this in the book of Genesis chapter 3. After Adam and Eve have sinned, God comes down to the Garden of Eden and he says, Adam, where are you? He knew they were Adam and Eve, but he was calling Adam because Adam was the accounting officer. Adam was the man, the head of the household, of the family, and he is called upon to account for his family on what they have done. And I would like to declare to men out there that the interest of the success of marriage should be more on a man than on a woman. After all, the family is called by the name of the man. So when the organization of the family fails, it is the failure of us as men in that regard. But what is interesting about this kind of leadership is it is modeled on Christ. It says a man is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. So his leadership is modeled on Christ. It is a servant leader. How does Christ lead? He leads by being a servant, by lowering himself. So in this case, just before men become excited of the fact that I am a leader, maybe I can become a dictator, I can throw my power around and be abusive. No, this leadership of a man is modeled on Christ. When there was no one to wash the feet, the servant to wash the feet of the disciples on that Passover night, he is the one who goes down on his knees and wash everybody, because we lead by being a servant. And therefore it is important to realize if man is standing up and telling everybody else that I'm the head in this home, that man has lost the plot, because the real head does not tell the body that I am the head. The head does what it's supposed to do, then we know there is a head. But if the head is announcing its presence, we are going to wonder, why have you not been doing those things that the head is supposed to do? Why are you announcing to us? The head has got brains. It must think, analyze things. The head has got eyes. It must have vision for the future. The head has got a mouth. You must communicate that vision. You must sell that vision. The head has got ears. You must listen. You must get the input of those that are in the family. It's not a dictatorship. So it is therefore important for us to realize that when we are talking about headship, which is modeled on Christ, is different from any other kind of a leader. And we also need to realize that when a man fears God, when he is connected to God, it gives him more dignity in his own family. You see, if there is a ShopRite and the local manager of ShopRite is disobeying what her head office says, probably even the workers under him will rebel against him. But when the local ShopRite manager is implementing the policies of head office, anyone who disrespects the manager is disrespecting the authority by which he has been put there, is disrespecting the authority of heaven, which has put the person there. So it is like that. When you realize that when a man is more connected to God, he is obedient to God, there is an aura of that he has around him. Even as he moves around the house, there is something about a man who is connected to God that gives me authority, because Christ lives within him, and when he talks, Christ speaks through him, Christ forgives through him. There is something different when a man fears God. So if our leadership is going to succeed, we need to be connected to the source of power, where our power comes from. We need to be connected to heaven in order to perform this role. Now, somebody can say, what are the other roles of a leader? I would like to suggest that a leader must inspire confidence. It doesn't matter what the family is going through. when they look at him, he must inspire confidence. We can't have a leader who says, I don't know what will happen, I don't know whether this thing, I don't know. No, the man must know. Even if he doesn't know, he must know. He must just say, we are doing this. When he hits a wall, he says, now we are doing this. But he must inspire confidence. He must say, I've got a plan. He must say, we're going to get through this. He must inspire confidence. I had a couple that I was working with, and the man, every time he was not happy in the relationship, he will cut everything else and say, I'm done with this. A week later, he gets back again. It kept on happening like that. And one day I'm saying to him, your behavior is strange. You are like a captain of the ship. And as the captain of the ship, every time you are not happy of what is happening in the ship, you jump out of the ship into the sea. And then you come back again. How do you jump out from your own ship? So he must inspire confidence. He must live by example. If he says, don't come home late, he must not come back home late. He must, if he says he wants the people under him to be trustworthy, to speak the truth, that's what he must do. He must live by example. He must be able to talk like Paul, follow me as I follow Christ. He must be a role model for his children, a role model for all of those in his house. What else the leader must do? He must initiate things. Whether it is the plan for the future, or whether it is in the face of a communication breakdown, the leader must initiate action. If there is a standoff, he must initiate, because his leadership is modeled against Christ. When Adam and Eve has sinned, they didn't go to God and ask for an apology. He took the initiative to come down to their level, to come and save them. And later on, we saw 2,000 years ago, we saw Christ taking the initiative of living the splendor of heaven, knowing his destiny was in the cross. He sacrificed himself in order to lead us out of sin. So in reality, the leader must sacrifice his ego. He must sacrifice whatever things of selfishness and whatever, and lower himself to be able to save. That's how he leads. What is another role of a husband? Genesis 2 verse 24. You know the story after Adam and Eve has seen this drop dead gorgeous. In verse 23, he speaks well about her and propose her and make a vow. In verse 24, the Bible says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. The role of a husband. He must leave. He must leave father and mother. He must cleave, and he must be one with his wife. It is important for us to realize, if he never leaves, then you will not be able to cleave, and there will be no oneness. I was talking to a man this past week, and he kept on saying that, as a Zulu man, my family this, my family that. And I said, wait. Basically, because the marriage predates your little culture that you're so proud about it. We need to go back to the culture of the Garden of Eden to understand marriage. So he must leave. The Bible does not say he's going to be chased away. He must leave. And I would like to suggest that we leave for something better. So, a man, I say to young people, don't get married until you have found someone who is better than father and mother combined. Because marriage is not a step down, it's a step up. He must leave. A few years ago, I was speaking at a camp meeting in Kaprivi, Katimam, big gathering. I think there were 20,000 people, and it was a regional camp meeting. And I said something that made the Namibian man almost stoned me. I said to them, if your mother is more important to you than your wife, then you should have married your mother. Because why would you prioritize somebody else's wife when you've got your own? Right? So you leave father and mother. And this leaving means to prioritize. You prioritize your spouse. And it is also important for us to realize, for those who are young, who are not yet married, you don't leave on the wedding day. I repeat, you don't leave on the wedding day. Many of the in-laws problems has to do with the fact that people only leave on the wedding day. So if I've decided that I want to get married as a man, then I want to get married next year, December, I start living now. Think about marriage as a journey to Cape Town, maybe by foot. If it's going to take me 2 months, I must start living now. The wedding day is when I arrive, my destination. I start living now. What does it mean? Because living means living emotional support, living your financial support, living whatever social support that you used to have. You must start living now. So, if I was giving my family 5,000 every month, as soon as I get married, there will be other expenses. Now I've got a wife, you need to have children, we need to have all of those. I won't be able to sustain that. So what needs to happen is that now that I've decided to get married, I start living. So I start cutting down. Now, instead of 5,000, I give them 4,000. After 3 months, I reduce it to 3,000. After another 3 months, I reduce it to 2,000. After another 3 months, I reduce it to 1,000. Then I get married, and we increase it to 2,000, so that they must know that as soon as they got married, the new Makoti has doubled up whatever they used to get. Leave. Leave. Start walking away. If you were calling your mother every day, leave. Start calling her once every 2 days. And 3 months later, call her once a week. Few months later, call her once every 2 weeks. Leave. Start living now. And then you need to cleave. To cleave is to pursue with great energy. So what the Bible is actually saying to man is that leave father and mother and now pursue your partner. Unfortunately, many of us as men, we pursue it before marriage. You know, there's no biblical instruction for a boyfriend to love a girlfriend. It's unnecessary. It's optional extra. What you are required to do is to pursue in marriage. That's the role of a husband. You're supposed to pursue this one on this particular day. You need to pursue your spouse with all the energy. How do you pursue a wife? Appreciate her. Tell her how beautiful she is. Women have got a great capacity to receive compliment. And even yesterday, compliment is not good today. It's like manna. It must be fresh. You must give new. So you cleave by pursuing. What does she like? What will make her smile? What will make her to feel good inside? You start pursuing this particular person, and then you become one flesh. When you become one flesh, that means there's no longer two of you, you're longer one. I like to use an illustration, I think I touched on it yesterday, of an oros juice. When you mix oros with water to get an oros juice, or mazoe and water, you got mazoe juice. They are not separable. You need to make it clear to your family, if you love me, you will love my wife, because we are one. If you don't love my wife, that means you don't love me, because we are one. What else is expected of a man? What is another role of a husband? Another role of a husband is to be a lover. Is to be a lover. Ephesians 5:25. He says, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So it is important for us to realize, again, the role of a man is compared to Christ. He must lead like Christ. He must love like Christ. And this, I often say to people, many women are complaining about submission, as we spoke about yesterday. But submission has got nothing on what is required of man. You see, submission, it says, submit your husband as unto the Lord. But here, a man is supposed to be like Christ. And there is no way a man will fulfill his duty if Christ is not in him. Our requirement is to be like Christ. He says, as Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? While we were yet sinners, he came to die for us. He loved the church when there was nothing attractive about him. He loved the church when it was full of sin. It was miserable and sad. He loved the church regardless of there was nothing attractive about the church. It was dirty and so on. But he loved the church regardless. So God is actually saying, do not love your wife just because she cooks, just because she cleans, just because she respects you, she honors you. No. Love her, even if she doesn't cook, even if she doesn't clean the house, even if she doesn't do the laundry. Love her as Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? He loved the church when it was rejecting him. In fact, when you look at the cross from the African perspective, like an African groom, Christ came to pay lobola at the cross with his own blood. But he was paying lobola for a woman who is cohabiting with the devil. But yet he came to pay lobola for one such as that. And therefore the Bible says to men, love your wife in the same way. And I would like to declare that there are too many of us who are men who are entering marriage not prepared. We have no understanding of agape as it being used there. This unconditional, selfless love. I have to say that maybe if we have to be honest, if we were taught clearly to say this is what is expected for you to be a husband, this is how you're supposed to love, many of us were going to bail out and say this is too much for me, I cannot be able to do it, because that's what is required. So you hear people say, men say, oh, I don't love my family, yours must not come, whatever. No, you are expected to do agape. You are expected to love unconditionally. It is not because she has done anything, but you're supposed to love in any case. But there is power in this agape. There is power. When we look at Jesus Christ, we look at him on that Friday afternoon at Gethsemane, it looked like weakness. It looks like he's a fool. They spat on him. They made fun of him. But on Sunday morning, he rose again. And 2,000 years later, he has changed the civilization of the world. For there is power in love, wonder-making power in the blood of Christ. So this love that we are supposed to do, so there is, according to the Bible, because many of us don't realize that according to the Bible, you don't need to love someone before marriage. There's no prerequisite. That's why arranged marriages, love marriages, all of those. In fact, arranged marriages seems to be doing better than our love marriages. The fact is that it is only in marriage that we're instructed to love the other person. And if we are instructed to do, his biddings are his enabling. So again, we realize that when you can say, how do I love this woman who is so stubborn? How do I love this woman who does not respect me, who doesn't care? God says, I'll give you the power. There is nothing that he asks us to do which he won't give us the power to accomplish. So regardless, it is important for us to realize that he is there to be able to work in us. So the only way we decide, we say we don't, we can say we don't love our partners is because we can just say we don't obey you, because if we obey him, he's going to give us what is required in order for us to succeed, even in the institution of marriage. So a husband is supposed to be a lover, and the woman must experience this unconditional love. And there is something about women, the love makes them soft, makes them obedient, to be obedient to their husband. And I'm just going to throw this in because maybe time will not allow us to go into detail about it, because a man is supposed to be a protector also. So many people don't realize, those who are doing gender-based violence, they say they beat their wives so that they can respect them. No, beating brings about resentment, not respect. It is only love that brings respect. And so when God says to men, love your wife, it is because he knew that when you love a woman, she becomes soft in order to be able to obey you as a man. There's a story some time ago of a man, this particular man. It was during the time of slavery, and the man said he was in this slave stand about to be sold. The man kept on shouting, "I won't work, I won't work." Slaves in those times, they were used to go and work in the plantations and so on. But he kept on saying, "I won't work, I won't work." Then there was a man who seems to have an interest in him. He kept on shouting, "I won't work." And that man went and got the papers and he bought him. On the way home, he kept on shouting, "I won't work, I won't work." When he gets there, the man shows him the place where he's going to stay. He kept on shouting, "I won't work, I won't work." Then he took him there and he brought him to the main house. And when he's in the main house, the man kept on saying, "I won't work." The man took out the papers and signed them. He says, "I bought you to set you free so that you don't have to work." It is at that time when this big African man went down on his knees and he says, "Because of what you've done, I will work for you. I will serve you for the rest of my life." It is this understanding that man must realize, that it is this self-sacrificing love that will make the woman to say, "I will obey you. I will serve you for the rest of my life." It is because of love. There is power in love. It is not intimidation. It's not all of those things, but love itself changes a person. Even the things that you say, "I will never be able to do." You see, love captures people. Loves make people to go to places where they would never have gone because they are loved. All right. Maybe let's conclude quickly with the idea that a man is supposed to be, a husband is supposed to be the priest. So every home is supposed to have a priest. In Joshua 24 verse 15, Joshua says, "As for me and my house, we will worship the Lord." So Joshua was actually saying, I cannot speak for the children of Israel. I cannot speak to the nation of Israel, but as a priest of my own home. He was a prophet to the nation, but he was a priest to his own family. And we know that there's a difference between a prophet and a priest. A prophet represents God to the people, and a priest represents the people to God. So he says, as a priest of my home. How did he know? How did he know that as my family? It is because he had worked hard in ministering to them. He knew where they were stand. So as a man, you are expected to be a minister, to be a preacher. In fact, that's where your pulpit is. Stop fighting for other pulpits somewhere else. Your pulpit is in your home. So that when you have worked with them, you have taught them, you have taught them about prophecy, you have taught them about revelation and everything else, you can stand firm and say, I know where my family stand. I know where my wife stands. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That I am truly a minister, and I'm truly one who is able to stand and to represent that which God has given me as my responsibility. We will pause here on this issue of the role, and it is important, as we say, to conclude with a view that says, by ourselves we will fail, but through Christ. So the role of being a leader, it is one that requires in us, the role of being a husband, it requires Christ to be living within us. And when that happens, we will be able to achieve all that is required of us. Amen.